This video will give you a quick introduction into attachment theory and relationships so you have a basic understanding of how it works and how you came to have your current attachment style. This is the first video in an 8-part series that will help you understand the different attachment styles, identify which one you are, recognize the attachment styles of the people you date, and help you become more secure in your relationships. And if you think you're stuck with the attachment style you currently have, keep watching until the end of the video and we'll talk about how that isn't necessarily true. Attachment theory is a way of explaining how we form bonds with each other and is a great system for understanding our romantic partners. Many of the most troubled relationships have problems stemming from mismatched attachment styles. If you've ever had a relationship where you fought all the time, or you say you hate drama but always find yourself in relationships filled with drama, you'll find this series of videos helpful in understanding why. And even if your relationships have all been pretty smooth, these videos will help you better understand your partner and form an even stronger bond. Knowledge of attachment theory can help in all stages of relationships, whether you just started dating, are early in the relationship, or have been together for years. It can help you better understand your partner so that less time is spent fighting and more time is spent fulfilling each other's needs in a mutually beneficial way. The concept of attachment theory comes from the idea that evolutionary pressure favored individuals that formed strong bonds with at least one other person. We tend to admire individualism and independence, but the reality is we tend to be more likely to survive in a dangerous environment when there's someone watching our back. Thus, we've all evolved to form attachments. Because survival was so much more likely in prehistoric times when you had a partner watching your back, we evolved to react when our partner is missing. This reaction is called protest behavior. It's why a baby cries when it notices its mother is missing, and it's why you start to panic when you hear there's been a natural disaster or a bombing in the area where your partner is. The simplest thing you could do if you heard there was a giant earthquake in the area where your partner was staying would simply be to remain calm and wait to hear from them. But that's not what happens. Instead, your attachment system fills you with worry. You feel a knot in your stomach, and so you start to call. You try and reach them, but get no answer, and so you try again. This is protest behavior. Your attachment system makes you overreact until you can be sure that your partner is still alive to be there for you. There are 3 main attachment styles: secure, avoidant, and anxious. It's also possible to be both anxious and avoidant at the same time, which is sometimes referred to as fearful avoidant, but they make up less than 5% of the population. People with a secure attachment style find it relatively easy to get close to and depend on others, and to have others depend on them. They don't worry about people getting too close or abandoning them. People with an avoidant attachment style find it somewhat uncomfortable to get close to others, and find it difficult to trust and completely depend on others. Their partners often want them to be more intimate than they're comfortable being, and they tend to get nervous when people get too close. People with an anxious attachment style worry that their partners don't really love them and might not stay with them. They often find that their partners are reluctant to get as close as they would like, and so they sometimes scare their partners away with their desire for closeness. I'm going to go much deeper into these 3 attachment styles in the next videos, including how you can identify them so you can seek them out or avoid them as partners, and also how to become more secure if you have one of the more difficult attachment types. But first, I want to talk about why these attachment styles exist. People with secure attachment appear to have easier lives and better relationships than those with the other attachment types. So why didn't we all just evolve to be secure? Each attachment style has an evolutionary advantage. About 50% of the population have a secure style, and they have an evolutionary advantage in a peaceful setting. These people form strong, lifelong bonds with people they know they can rely on throughout their lives. This benefits both partners as well as their offspring. When living in dangerous conditions, anxious and avoidant attachment styles may be more beneficial. About 20% of the population are anxious, and they deal with difficult situations by closely monitoring their partner. They make sure they're always close by and constantly watching for anything that could go wrong. You can see how, if you were being constantly hunted by predators, this style could be better at keeping your partner alive than the more secure style that just assumes everything will be okay. The avoidant style makes up about 25% of the population, and they deal with dangerous situations differently. Sometimes being hypervigilant the way the anxious style is simply isn't enough. Sometimes people die, perhaps quite often. The avoidant attachment style evolved to deal with this by not getting too attached and moving on quickly once the attachment is broken. Rather than focusing heavily on the relationship, they focus on themselves instead. You can see how, if you were living in an environment where you just couldn't be assured of keeping your partner alive no matter what you do, that this could be evolutionarily beneficial. As this shows, there appears to be a genetic component to attachment style. For years, it was assumed that your attachment style was determined by how you were treated during early childhood, and you'll see a lot of videos making this claim, but that probably just means they didn't spend much time researching the topic. The theory was, if your parents were responsive, available, and sensitive to your needs, you would grow up to have a secure attachment style. If they were unresponsive, emotionally distant, and didn't show you love, you would grow up to have an avoidant attachment style based on the philosophy that you can't count on people to be there for you, and so you have to learn to be independent. Finally, if they were inconsistent in being responsive to your needs, you would develop an anxious attachment style because you would never know when they would be there for you and when they would not. In reality, though, if you dive deep into the research and read through all the studies, you'll find that the link between how a person is raised and their eventual attachment style is weak at best. When I say weak, I don't mean non-existent. It is true that children that have attentive parents that care for their needs are more likely to develop a secure attachment style, but there are a number of other important factors that are also at play. Some of them are based on how a person is raised, like spending more time with your parents rather than a nanny or daycare center. Having a happy mother with a supportive family and friends helps as well. As mentioned previously, some of the factors may be genetic. Not only are there genes that are being identified as influencing emotions and pair bonding, but something as simple as your disposition as a baby may also be a factor. Yes, we did say there's a weak link between having an attentive mother that takes care of your needs and developing a secure attachment, but one of the factors that influences this the most is the temperament of the baby. If you were an easygoing baby that didn't cry much and didn't need much attention, you were much more likely to feel that your needs were met. In other words, you may have been genetically born secure even before your parents had a chance to raise you. That said, when you look at the research, many people who are found to have a secure attachment style as children do not have one as adults. It's not as simple as saying how your parents raised you determines how you respond to romantic partners. So if parenting may play a role, and genes may play a role, what else is responsible for our attachment style? Well, the answer is probably the most obvious of all: our romantic experiences as adults. It is possible for a romantic experience to be so powerful that it completely changes how you think about love. It could be a relationship with a secure partner that changed your avoidant or anxious beliefs, or it could be a relationship with an anxious or avoidant partner that completely shattered your once secure style. On average, just over a quarter of adults change their attachment style at some point in their lives, while the rest remain the same attachment style. Changing our attachment style will be influenced by the people we date, as well as a conscious effort on our parts. This conscious effort is what I really want you to focus on. If you have an anxious or avoidant attachment style, your goal should be to change that. This means dating a person with a secure attachment style, if at all possible, along with noticing your behavior and attempting to model it after secure principles. I'll talk more about how to do that in the 6th video on this series on secure attachment, so give this video a like and make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss it. In order to have a strong, secure relationship, you have to have someone you trust and you have to be willing to count on them. With that in mind, the next video is going to tackle the myth of codependency, and we're going to talk about why good relationships are centered around the idea that you have someone that you can truly depend on. That's coming up next.